Well, good morning on this Good Friday morning on Good Morning Geelong. I suppose most of the times when I speak on this little segment, I talk about items on the news and various sort of comments that hopefully might be positive and helpful, at least for hopefully for some of the viewers. Today, though, I wanted to maybe put on my hat as not so much as a priest, but certainly as a Christian on this very holy day of Good Friday. We have debates, of course, about whether footy should be played or not. Interesting to read this week that James Kelly has come out and said very strongly that it should remain as it is, and good on him for doing so. But I'm conscious of the fact there would be people watching this in Geelong and the surrounding region who may not necessarily be very familiar even with the story of Jesus. The reality is that perhaps in the fairly secular society in which we live these days, the traditional Christian stories of Christmas and Easter, which many people might think everybody knows, the reality is not everybody does know. And maybe just a thought on this Good Friday, a day in which Christians all over the world remember and, in the broad sense of the word, celebrate the sacrifice of Jesus by his death on the cross. The story will be retold in many places, as it will be in St Mary's this afternoon at 3 o'clock, and you're certainly most welcome to join us if you're able to do so. But it's a story that really has an enormous value and message for everyone, no matter what religion they might be, and those perhaps that are of no religion at all. Insofar as it is a story of, it's a story of love, it's a story of sacrifice, it's a story of betrayal, it's a story of greed, it's a story of very much of jealousy on the part of those who put Jesus to death. It's a story which has an enormous insight into human nature and how we live life, and in particular, though, of the capacity of the human spirit, in this case of Jesus, of course. Christians believe that Jesus was God among us as a man, but still as a man sacrificing and giving himself, giving his life for all of us. It's a story which, when it's retold in churches, read in schools, read privately by people in the privacy of their own home, can often move people to tears. It's a story which has been put into the cinema many times over, and most memorably perhaps in recent years by Mel Gibson's very well known, sometimes chastised, but very graphic but very moving film called The Passion of the Christ. But it is a story with which I'd suggest everyone should be familiar. They may choose to believe what Christians believe, they may choose not to. But the story as a story to learn about who we are, how we should live, the value of how we can give of ourselves for one another, the way in which we can be so unfair and unjust to one another, the extraordinary trial of Jesus, trial in inverted commas, a real kangaroo court situation, how we can kid ourselves that we're doing the right thing when clearly we're not. All of those things are part of the story of the suffering, sometimes called the passion of Jesus, in his death, and of course, in a couple of days' time, the celebration of Jesus risen from the dead of Easter. As I say, not everyone believes in that story, but more importantly perhaps, not everyone knows that story. It is a story which people should know. Whether they choose to believe or not is very much up to each personal individual. I believe it, many others do, but I find it personally a source of great inspiration, of great encouragement, and of great perhaps caution as well, to recognise the areas of vulnerability and weakness that's in the human nature that we all have. So on this Good Friday, maybe take a bit of time to have a look at that story. Maybe you've got a Bible somewhere, maybe you can find a church somewhere, but certainly to maybe just Google it in and have a look at it on the internet. But familiarise yourself with the story of what Christians are celebrating and recognising and remembering the world over today. It's a magnificent story. It's really, in many ways, the greatest story ever told, which was the title of a book and a movie made some years ago about the life, teaching, death and resurrection of Jesus. It's an extraordinary story for each and every one of us. May it be a blessed day for you, and a very happy and holy Easter to you as well.